evening. Our top story this week. In Kansas, where the number of kids in state care is at an all-time high, the state's foster care system is in defense mode after a baby was left to die in a hot car a couple weeks back. The idiot who left her there is put on suicide watch. The guy's attorney is calling the murder charges ludicrous and says that the baby's death was unintentional. The prosecutor says that he was high on drugs because he was smoking marijuana when the kid died, and now the guy has been released on bond. What to do with all the immigrant children who are crossing the border has now become an issue of faith as to whether or not to put them in foster care. Governor Peter Shumlin says that Vermont lacks the capacity to house 1,000 immigrant kids in their foster care system, and U.S. Representative Michelle Bachmann is accusing the Obama administration of wanting to do medical research on immigrant kids. In Connecticut, the child protective industry's practices are being questioned after 10 kids under age 3 died last year. In Nevada, they're saying that it is necessary to hog-tie teenagers at juvenile detention facilities. In Georgia, CPS agents are leaving for better-paying jobs. And in Texas, a state contractor opts out of a foster care contract, leaving the state with no option but to deal with 1,100 kids. In Canada, the scalding of a 2-year-old foster child in an Alberta home is ruled as accidental and will receive no further investigation. In Australia, a children's minister is denying claims of bullying within the child protective industry. Australian child protective orders are intentionally leaving the real parents in the dark to make it more difficult for them to get their kids back. And Australian churches are accusing the government of state-sanctioned child abuse due to their treatment of asylum seekers. In England, the land where beauty salons are being accused of child abuse for performing bikini waxes on 9-year-old girls. The child abuse trial of a suspected pedophile grinds to a halt when the judge hearing the case falls asleep on the bench. British children are now going to be shown in videos advertising them for adoption, and a British social worker is struck off the register for going missing while on the clock and asking inappropriate questions about disabled kids. In California, a jury convicts a foster father of the 2010 death of an infant in his care. In Texas, a CPS supervisor is charged with tampering with evidence in a child death case. In Nebraska, a child welfare expert was fined $500 for exposing himself to some girls at a motel last year. In Nevada, a former CPS agent pleads not guilty to child sex abuse. In South Carolina, a CPS agent is charged in a burglary. And in Kentucky, a social worker has been accused of using a child's home visits in exchange for buying drugs at a discounted rate from the real parent. In Florida, a real mom is arrested for letting her 7-year-old walk to the park alone. In Massachusetts, a mother is accusing police of racial profiling after they ratted her out to the child protective industry because she accidentally locked the car with her kid inside and called police for help the minute it happened. And finally, tonight, in Wisconsin, researchers are reviving a controversial study to deprive monkeys of their mothers to see how it affects their psychological health. For these stories and all the latest dirt on the child protective industry, visit www.legallykidnapped.com. And until next week, this is Baby LK. Over and out.